Hello everybody, again from campaign headquarters. I am Rebecca Clarke and I am still running for State Assembly District 26. Today here at campaign headquarters we have a very special guest, someone that I respect a lot. John Nelson is here to talk about, on this rainy day, some issues affecting our state, some conservation issues. John has a tremendous background in fisheries. Do you want to give us a little bit about your background, John?
Sure. I started with Wisconsin DNR in 1981. I first actually was a wildlife technician for a year, and then I became a fisheries biologist. Spent 26 years as a biologist, and then the last 3 years as a fisheries supervisor. At that time I was overlooking hatchery and that. The 26 years as a biologist, most of that was right in Sheboygan County in Plymouth.
Right.
I greatly enjoyed my career. It was a fabulous career, fabulous people and resources around the area. And, no regrets at all.
Wonderful. And I can speak that John was such a tremendous experience, for a wonderful asset to our community. John would come out to Maywood a couple times and volunteer his time with the fish shocker, which is not a Halloween prank. It's actually a scientific tool that allows biologists to see what fish are in the river, and we did the Pigeon River, and I was always amazed at the diversity of fish we would find there, and the kids loved it.
Yeah, and it's great working with kids. I mean, they are so excited about it.
Yeah, that you really stole my thunder many times. But so John, I want to talk to you a little bit about the Department of Natural Resources, and lately we've been seeing a lot of experienced DNR Fish and Wildlife staff like yourself retiring in big numbers, many of whom aren't even asking for a retirement party. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on in the DNR? You still have friends there, I'm sure, and the morale, etc.
Well, I do have a few of the old-time friends still there, but sadly enough, there are so many people that had more years that they would like to have worked. But with Act 10 and the things that the legislature and the governor did, morale just went sliding down a steep hill. You could tell it on the faces of people when they came to work. They still tried to do their best for the environment, but it was just a terrible atmosphere. The leadership is just in terrible shape. And I think that was on purpose by the governor to put a poor leader in charge of DNR to, first of all, put their thumbs on the employees to control what they did and said, and also just to make it so that it was impossible to really regulate environmental rules on a broad scale. I mean, you do things like writing rules where if an industry doesn't get a permit in a certain amount of time, they can basically write their own permit.
Correct.
Well, that's crazy. I mean, who's going to regulate themselves to the point where they should be if it's going to cost them money? Correct. So, I always like to make the point that what DNR does, both on a regulatory and a resource management standpoint, is important to the people of the state. Right. But it's also important to the people that come to visit our state. Right. Tourism, right? Big business. Yeah, I mean, tourism is our #2 industry in the state. Brings in a lot of money. And I always say that people coming up I-43 to the north, they don't want to see more of Chicago when they get to their destination. They want to see nice, beautiful resources that are protected. Right. Clean water, clean air, good forests, good wildlife populations, and so forth.
And what I've been hearing, John, as I go door to door talking to voters, is it feels like the DNR does not work for the people of Wisconsin anymore. It seems like we're all hearing we're open for business, and how I've been hearing even from Kathy Stepp, the Secretary of the DNR, that their job is to streamline things for businesses. Is that the original intent of the DNR, or? No,
not at all. I mean, the mission of the DNR is to protect the environment, and sometimes that means that you regulate people the way they don't like to be regulated. But again, it's a counter-economic deal. I mean, like we said, that with tourism being so important, and clean water and clean air just for our families and everything, I mean, how can you justify the benefits to one industry by not regulating them properly to the benefits of society as a large? You know, and I know you wanted to bring up the subject about talking about shoreland regulations.
I've been hearing a lot about that one.
You know, now the legislature and the governor have taken away the rights of counties to go a little beyond what the standard regulations are. You know, and what was wrong with that? I mean, if a certain county has unique resources, they want to give it extra protection, why couldn't their own local supervisors on a county board pass a regulation, enforce it, and have the resources they want? They were doing no harm statewide. But it, you know, when that came into be, all of a sudden people with a special interest that gave a certain amount to a campaign want to do something unique on their property, and they don't like that they're not able to. All of a sudden this opens the door to more of that type of activity. It's just wrong.
And along those lines, John, we've been seeing cuts, not just retirement, but cuts to DNR Fish and Wildlife staff, our science staff, and our education staff. What kind of effect do you see this having long term, or?
Well, I think part of it, and it's on purpose partially, to keep science out of the picture. You know, some of these legislators and the governor, they don't like what science tells them. So rather than, you know, dispute what our scientists were telling them, they just cut the science staff. I mean, our Bureau of what used to be called Bureau of Research was cut, I think, in half with position cuts. Because they didn't like things like climate change talk or anything like that coming up.
Oh God.
We don't want to hear about the truth. We want to be able to just lead on the people, and it's just wrong. Fisheries program lost 30, I believe it was 38 positions since Governor Walker took control. And you know, I mean, that's having an impact on fish populations. The research, what we know about it. There hasn't been a license increase in, I think, 11 years. Those dollars, they fund the research to make fishing better and hunting. And wildlife staff has been not cut as much, and neither has law enforcement, but still substantial cuts to resource management.
And you can see the real effects because in my experience, the DNR always served as an advisory to the legislators, you know, in terms of here's what we think we need, and now it seems like that voice has really been kind of put down.
Well, yeah, I mean, the governor now has even further control over rule making for natural resources. They have to go past his desk. There have been hearings held on major fisheries and wildlife issues where DNR staff are no longer even invited to attend the hearing to testify. I mean, that's just basically wrong. That's telling me that they don't want to hear the truth. They want to just hear what justifies their legislation.
Speaking of hearings and things that are a hot button issue, especially in our district, as you know, we're just right up the lake from Waukesha, and we've been seeing what's happened to the north of us with high capacity wells. We're seeing a loss of surface water, sometimes with not looking at how much we're pumping. We're also seeing more polluted wells and drinking water. So this is a big issue in terms of a main resource for Wisconsin. What's going on here?
Well, yeah, and especially in the central part of the state, the Central Sands area. I mean, that is a sandy basin that used to be Old Lake Wisconsin. When they turn on the pumps at night to irrigate the crops over there, you literally can see the water elevations drop during the night. And as an undergraduate student at Stevens Point, I used to work on a stream where
Pointers.
we would sample 24 hours around the clock. And during the day, the stream was flowing nice. At night, I bet it would drop 8 inches to a foot when they turned on the pumps. So in that sandy situation, it's easy to pull down what they call a zone of influence near a well. And you know, they literally dried up the Little Plover River, which is a stream I worked on.
Yes, I canoed that many times.
So, and you know, they don't want to regulate it on a cumulative basis. I mean, maybe one well by itself is going to have a small impact. When you have 15 in an area sucking down that aquifer, and how does it recover? It just doesn't make sense.
Well, in looking at that, you know, one of the big issues I have for my campaign. Because all of these things are connected. You know, we try
Right.
to do a statewide forest management plan, and we try to manage our deer herd statewide, which is getting a little wonky now.
Yeah.
Do you think it is worth looking at or possible to do a statewide groundwater plan? Because we know even groundwaters move. We have some protection still left for surface water,
Right.
but is this something we should move on?
Well, I think so. You know, and groundwater is a difficult issue to study, but we have the geological survey. We have resources we can do that,
Right.
and they do know a lot about what's going on. But
Sure.
whether legislators listen is another thing.
Right.
I think it's just basic ignorance is one factor in the legislature. The other is the trying to satisfy their small donor constituency,
Sure.
irregardless of what things do to society as a whole.
Right.
And that's wrong.
Right.
Right.
So we need legislators that will listen. Is that what I'm hearing?
And look at the bigger picture. You know,
Correct.
educate yourself.
And it really, one of my issues is we really need to look long-term instead of just short-term economic
Right.
benefit. We
Right.
need to be thinking about our children and our grandchildren. So I appreciate you coming out today and sharing some of your opinions. And thank you again for all your years of service and for volunteering your time
You're welcome.
with the kids. So thanks, everybody. This has been our latest edition here from Campaign Headquarters, and we'll see you again soon.